Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. This is going to be the final video before I go off on a short holiday, a few days in Scotland. But we've got actual information from the game devs, directly from a community manager, Oracle, saying balance for Hydra Clash and outlining their plans and what they are going to change. This has just come out hot off the presses. We'll also talk about because I haven't done a video on it, the champions that are going to be boosted during CVC. I won't be here tomorrow, unfortunately, for the CVC stream, which is a bummer because it's personal rewards. I was looking forward to it. But yeah, I should be back for the next CVC and the next few to come as well. But look, let's dive into this first of all. Balance for Hydra Clash. Let's break it down because I'm sure this is what we're most excited to see. Hey Raiders, it's been quite a while since we commented on the current state of Hydra in general and Hydra Clash in particular. This topic remains hot and we need to clarify our position and intentions towards this mighty creature. I think this is actually a great idea, right? To make a public post breaking down what they're planning to change, because no matter what they change, people are going to get mad, right? I mean, we're talking like we're talking about this. My goodness, like some of the things I've seen people say about Hydra Clash, people are going to get mad no matter what happens. They could be like, we've decided to donate some money to helping children around the world who are dying. And people would be like, unbelievable, Plarium, you are the worst. Like, there's no winning. So, but I think telling people ahead of time, giving people time to prepare and process is nice. We acknowledge that Hydra Clash currently doesn't work as intended and is off balance as a game mode. Here goes a heads up as to what directions we prioritize to alleviate the issue. So, here we are. This is what they're looking at doing. Number 1, modifying Hydra's general battle mechanics. Some champions are great, but become extraordinary when fighting Hydra specifically, which indicates that the issue is rather with the Hydra's mechanics itself first and foremost. Thus, we are considering tweaking Hydra's overarching mechanics as a boss overall. Number 2, changes to the Hydra Clash competition that would make fighting Hydra on higher difficulties more appealing in terms of the number of Hydra Clash points, for instance, adjusting point multipliers. On the other hand, putting a cap on maximum damage or number of Hydra Clash points for each difficulty level looks a bit heavy-handed, and it's not in our plans currently. I'll come back and give my thoughts on each of these. We'll just go through them first and foremost. Rebalancing specific champions, but only when Hydra Clash mode and Hydra as a boss are adjusted, and only if champion rebalance is still necessary at that point. And then finally, consolation rewards are being ranked 4th or 5th in the Hydra Clash. The list of directions outlined above may be changed or even expanded depending on the on-the-ground reality of their implementation. The game design team is already testing possible solutions. We'll be glad to announce the actual changes when the testing is over. Until then, we want to share a point of view on the issue, how we're going to approach it. Stay tuned for future updates. So, yeah, the actual details of what they will specifically change is still up in the air. Hopefully, it won't take them long. Who knows exactly how long it will take them, but I think this is good, right? I would rather have information on their general plans, the areas that they're looking at first. I think it's great to have that ahead of time. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. I mean, realistically speaking, it might take a few months, right? Realistically, hopefully it'll be faster, right? They've been delivering quality of life changes faster than we would have thought. Like gear presets and epic empowerment, all that has come much faster than we thought. Hopefully it will be that, but we don't know for sure. Let's touch on these. So number 1, and this is interesting, it's the first bullet point. I disagree with this one the most. Actually, I mean, let's look at bullet point number 4 first. This is the easiest, most obvious, biggest win. Yes, please. Consolation rewards for being 4th or 5th in the Hydra Clash. I mean, it doesn't even need to be consolation. It can just be rewards, It doesn't need to be consolation, but I think having rewards for no matter what place you're in makes a whole lot of sense. Why not, right? Why not give rewards to people that are coming in 4th and 5th? Everybody gets something. That's good, especially for people that aren't in top end clans that can basically manipulate the thing to always win. Like that's what's happening right now in our Hydra Clash, by the way. Like, oh, is matchmaking terrible? That these other clans are so much worse? No, they're not that much worse, but what's actually happening is that, we're going into it and saying, well, there's no way that we can win So we'll just do the minimum scores to get better matchups in the future. And then you've got like Immortal Titans going, well, we can win almost everything, so we'll just win. You know? Basically is what's happening. And Sacred Pandas are, these are insane clans. Our clan, there's a lot of playing the system right now. But yeah. So look, that's a big win. Look, consolation prizes, great. Modifying Hydra's general battle mechanics. Some champions are great, but become extraordinary when fighting Hydra specifically, which indicates the issue is rather with Hydra mechanics itself. I couldn't disagree more. Honestly, I could not disagree more. Like, come on. Like, all right. Let's look at it. So here's Trunda is the obvious example, right? This is the most. Now there's a couple of others. We'll touch on those, but Trunda is the obvious example. Is the problem not with Trunda, but with Hydra specifically? I remember about 3 years ago, this was before I was a content creator, hell Hades making a video on Trunda. Hydra didn't even exist at that point, saying Trunda is broken. Because fundamentally, Trunda is broken and has nothing to do with Hydra. Attacks all enemies with a second hit, doing 60% of the damage from the first hit. It just explicitly, I mean, some people do a lot of mental gymnastics to, I don't know, somehow convince themselves that, yeah, it is doing 60%. They're just maybe really bad at maths. I don't know. We should set up an investment opportunity. Like, give us all your money and we'll give you back 60% of the money that you gave us. And people would be, the Trunda defenders would be flocking to give you their money. It'd be great. It'd be great. But yeah, it does not do 60%. It does way more than that. Basically, the reason is it applies all the multipliers again. So it basically reapplies the crit damage multiplier, the book multiplier, the mastery multiplier. For Hydra specifically, it also stacks on like the decapitation multiplier again, which is a problem. But this is just fundamentally broken. The fact that it's reapplying multipliers and it just doesn't do what it says on the tin. I don't mind. You can change this. You can just attacks with the second hit that will, scale off of the first hit. I don't know. But Trunda's been broken from the get-go. So yeah, like she was ridiculous back in the day in Arena because of that move as well. Like this was busted back in Arena way, way, way back in the past. It's not a problem now, but back in the day it was pretty OP in Arena. It's been busted for Hydra because Trunda is fundamentally broken. And certainly the decapitation makes it worse, but it's nothing to do with Hydra specifically. It's more to do with Trunda. Now, we come over to like another great cheese comp. I don't know if you call them great. Another infamous cheese comp right now is you build up a massive shield with Wixwell. Aislinn rips it off. Now, his damage is capped, but the heal is not capped, so he can do an absolutely monstrous heal to your team. And then you have Ironclad, who does damage equal to 50% of any surplus heal. So, again, is this a problem with Hydra mechanics specifically? Not really. It's more that, like, clearly they intend for these mechanics to have a cap. They gave Aislinn a cap on the damage, but then they forgot that they didn't put a cap on the healing because why does it matter, right? They just didn't think to put a cap on the healing. And then because the healing isn't capped, you've got this one rare in the game that does this. Is this specific with Hydra? You can do this to other bosses. It's just tough. It takes probably too long to be worthwhile. For Hydra, it's worthwhile. So somewhat. Oh, sorry. I opened up the wrong thing. Somewhat. I think the Hydra mechanics sort of, because it's such a long fight and so difficult, it sort of makes it valuable. But I don't know. I don't really buy that. I don't buy it that the main problem is the Hydra itself. Like, especially with Trunda. Like, Trunda is just fundamentally broken before, like, just OP before this, So, I think that's a stretch. I think it's a stretch. Yeah, I think definitely. Changes to Hydra Clash competition. Now, I'm fine with that. I think that's a great idea. It seems like the main thing they're looking at is making higher difficulties more appealing. Again, and the problem is here, like, this is this is Nightmare, right? Like, yeah, there's brutal teams, there's hard Trunda teams, but I mean there are Nightmare teams. They're very difficult to work, but like if we don't change Trunda, like the Krakens are still gonna be able to do this on Nightmare. Now you really do need to be a Kraken. Like you need top level champions. Yeah, Bango's not really a Kraken actually, but I mean you need to save up for that 6-star Trunda Soul. You need crazy gear. You need a lot to make it work. This is cool actually. by the way. The Yumiko is the problem, people. Trunda's not there's zero wrong with Trunda. It's all Yumiko. They are in absolute shambles right now. Their worldview has collapsed. They're like, no, nubs, Photoshop. It must be photo. There's no way. There's no way. They can't believe it. They can't believe it. But yeah. Sorry, what was I saying? I've lost my train of thought here. But like, it's still possible to do this on Nightmare. So it does need to be coupled with other big changes. I think it's fine that Nightmare is the place to go to get more points. I think that's okay, right? If they make it like Nightmare should be your best key, because that is a thing right now, isn't it? Because it's so much easier to fight lower difficulties of Hydra. It might be easier and more consistent to put your best team into brutal or even hard potentially. With Trunda teams, especially, you know, even normal difficulty can beat a Nightmare run. That's sort of exceptional. But I say just for teams in general, yeah, there is probably a thing where, you know, I might put actually my better champions into brutal because I can really smash out a good run, as opposed to putting them into Nightmare because it's just a bit harder, and we'll put our worst key in Nightmare and really try capitalize on that. So I think that, you know, increasing the point multiplier for each difficulty is probably okay. Again, just for Clash, that's probably okay. It's interesting that they're not willing to put any cap on Hydra. I'm personally, again, I'm okay with that. I think the problem with like basically putting an income tax, right, a scaling income tax onto Hydra points. So the idea would be that, oh, like one idea is, well, your first, I don't know, 100 million points, it's fine. Your second 100 million, you get 40% less Clash points. Your third 100 million, you get 80% less, whatever, you know, and it scales up like a scaling income tax. I mean, the problem is obvious. People don't like income tax in real life, and scaling tax bracket, people don't like them. So they're not going to like them in a video game either, are they? I mean, if they don't like the tax in real life, they're not going to like it in a video game. So that's sort of the problem there. So I do agree it is heavy-handed. It could potentially just fix the problem, but it would be very heavy-handed and make pushing high scores very demotivating and unrewarding. I probably wouldn't rule it out entirely, but I do prefer, again, for me, I would much prefer balancing champions and mechanics so that there can be a fair playing board, than putting in caps and stuff like that. I think rebalancing stuff, I think this is, I think it's silly. This is catering to people, honestly, and it's bad game design. But I understand. Well, if this was a single player game, it'd be bad. But it's because it's a gacha game, right? Because people are investing money into it, and because it takes so long to build up champions and stuff, that they don't want to rebalance champions ever, really. They never want to nerf champions, and that's a bummer, because even if champions need to be nerfed and should be nerfed, they won't do it, and you can end up with the game being terribly balanced for months on end. Like, I mean, Taras, Marishka, and Arena are very strong still, not really a problem now, but they were a problem for over a year. That was all that was viable in Arena at high end. It just destroyed. It drove a lot of players away. And that sort of thing can happen again in the future because they just will not nerf champions. It's a bummer. Only in Hydra Clash and Hydra as a boss are adjusted. I mean, it's not the worst thing. It's like, okay, if there is still a problem, we'll come back to it. We're going to touch the game modes first. I think this will keep more people happy. I think it will keep more people happy, but it just makes it harder and longer and slower to achieve good balance. Like it's creating a whole gymnastics course to jump through to make good balance. When, I mean, you could just come in and be like, okay, yeah, the Trunda thing is obviously dumb. Fix her A2 and be done in like a day. But it's just that would be too upsetting to too many people. That's the sad reality. Yeah, look, that's where we are. So there you go. Let me know what you think about these changes, and let's take a quick look at the champs that are going to be in the progressive chance as well. Okay, so here we go. These are happening tomorrow, the 18th of June, Tuesday, and the 19th of June, that's Wednesday. Progressive chances. Now, these look to be in the middle of nowhere. Oh my God, there she is. I actually didn't look at this ahead of that's hilarious. Oh my God. Woo, I guess. Oh boy, that's funny. What was I saying? And there's a soul you can get a soul for her as well, guys. So it's like, please, no, do whale out. Spend as much money on this progressive and summon pool. Really, just give us all the money, right? We promise we're not going to nerf her. Just give us the money. Give us your money. Is that what's going on? Maybe. Okay, but look, these are the progressive chances on. Now they're not overlapping with anything other than a personal rewards CBC. It doesn't seem like there's going to be like a summon rush or a champion chase tied into it or a hero's path or anything like that. There's a decent chance that very good chance that there could be something soon, right after CVC. There could be a Titan event, or there could be Heroes Paths, or Decks of Fate, Guaranteed Champs. That's the sort of stuff that they run in between fusions, so that's very possible. And of course, I think a lot of people skipped the current fusion, but it's coming to an end. We will have another fusion starting in probably a couple of weeks' time. And the fusions this year have been very good, so I'd definitely be prepared to do. Like, I mean, look at Ancora, look at Wixwell, look at Armans, right? There's been really strong fusions this year. I would be very prepared for the next fusion. That's always my first priority. But yeah, there could be guaranteed soul events even. There could be all sorts of stuff on in the next couple of weeks, so beware of pulling your shards now. That being said, Trunda is obviously right now currently busted. And look, like I said, it could take them months to change anything. So she is going to be probably for months the strongest Hydra champion in the game. After they change stuff, I mean, from what they were saying, I'm not exactly instilled with confidence either that Trunda won't still be the best champion for Hydra by like right now she's the best by a landslide. That might still be the case. Like, they're kind of going, we might have to nerf them in the end. Like, we might not be able to fix it and have to nerf them. That's obviously most aimed at Trunda. She might still be crazy busted even when they start changing things. She could be the best champion for Hydra Clash by a landslide for a long time to come. Ultimately, I do think I'd be surprised if 1 year from now that Trunda is still the best by miles. I would be surprised. I would think that champions like, who's I talking about in a previous thing? I would not be surprised to see teams like this catch up a lot, and especially teams like this catch up a lot. Like, I would really expect, like, Toshiro is the best damage dealer right now for Hydra. After Trunda, the gap is obviously massive. Like, this is 27 billion versus this is what, 2.5. You're looking at 10 times the points. I would not be surprised to see that gap shrink considerably, but it might take ages. But I'm sure the game devs want Toshiro ultimately, because that's how they see the game, right? Mythicals should be better than legendaries. I'm sure Toshiro will probably outpace her eventually, but this might take some time. Samson's decent. He's okay. HP Nuker, he can be okay for arena. He's sort of like, mid to late game arena. HP Nuker, for more of you end game guys or whales, right? Not so strong because, you probably have you probably got the White King Narcies. That's a much better HP Nuker. There's Mythicals now as well, so he's definitely been power crept. He's okay as well for some Cursed City stages. I wouldn't really be rushing out for Samson. He's quite fun, but I think the power creep has kind of outpaced him. Goffred's pretty decent. Goffred's cool. I do like Goffred. He's like I probably actually make this smaller. I probably would not bother for Samson. Goffred, maybe. I'd definitely be going for Trunda over Goffred, guys. I really would. But Goffred's quite fun. He's got a cool passive, right? That block damage. So that can keep you alive. I think that not Necret. He's sort of like a budget Necret, like protecting your character. Unfortunately, Narcies does ignore this. So it doesn't work against White King Narcies, who's like probably the main arena offense or one of them champs in the game right now. So that's a bummer, but it is good. It does work. It works against Rotus, funny enough. It works against that, but he's cool. He's pretty fun. I like Goffred. He was a previous guaranteed. I would definitely be picking Trunda over him, but he's a cool champ. Fushan is also decent. Good damage dealer. Yeah, solid damage dealer. He's good for some clan boss stuff. So yeah, Fushan, he's decent. I think Trunda wins by a landslide here, though. It's not even close. The next day is pretty strong as well. Again, Archbishop, he's decent. The biggest problem with Archbishop is affinity, actually. Affinity. He is Spirit Affinity, and against Head of Wrath, which is the most important head to land block buffs on, there's very few rotations of Hydra, because they never change them, where this actually is good. He's only good on maybe 1 or 2 rotations, unfortunately. There's a lot of magic Head of Wrath, which is a bummer. I'm like, Ugo is just better. I think on all but 1 rotation, you might as well just use an Ugo. which is he's very similar to Ugo. They do very similar things, but Ugo just works on more rotation. So even though he's legendary, Ugo ends up being the better build overall. So he's fine. He's fun, but he's not a must build. Now, Elva is great. Aestrid is great. I think Glaikit are great. They're all strong. They're all reasonable. Aestrid is a recent fusion. You probably don't need her. Elva, very solid, quite underrated, good arena champion. Again, you've got the power creep of mythicals and stuff like that, but she's a good healer, good support reviver. And Glaikit, again, he's quite strong for mostly Hydra. He's sort of like a Duchess that specializes in Hydra. I think with the power creep in the game at the moment, it means that, you know, arena being better for Duchess, I mean, Duchess is falling off quite a bit, whereas Glaikit will hold on a bit longer as being a Hydra specialist, I think. But yeah, they're all good. They're all solid. They're solid options. I'd say if I was pulling for it, that's a tricky one. It depends what you value most. I don't know. I probably value Elva the most. Aestrid and Glaikit are both very good. That's a tough one. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think about all of these. I mean, I think overall, Trunda wins by a landslide. Like, I would genuinely... I don't think the post from the start of the video is compelling enough to pull for anything other than Trunda. I think you just pull for Trunda. Simple as that. And you can have multiple Trundas. Why not? Have a Trunda, right? Have multiple Trundas, guys. Like you say, no, what can I do with an extra? You can have up to what? You can have 3 Trundas, and then you can have 12 extra copies. So you can have 15 Trundas before you've got too many. Like, why not? You know, this guy's almost there. He's got a +4, +4, +2. He only needs 2 more Trundas. And then he doesn't want any more Trundas. But, I mean, you can have 15 Trundas. 15 Trundas. It's that easy. That easy, guys. That's how you win Hydra Clash. That easy. Tunisia, Solus, then Warlord, and Senna. I'd say Warlord is still probably the better pick. Now, with Mythicals, the Lockout's not quite as important, but he's still very strong. And for Tag Arena, for Live Arena, he's a great option to have in that Lockout. He's great for any content, wave-based content that you can use him in as well. Healing as well. He's just very solid. The Warlord, he's definitely not as dominant as he was because, you know, you've got Mythicals, but he's still really, really good. So probably Warlord. Tunisia is probably the least exciting. She's still solid. She's a good Hydra damage dealer with burns and stuff, but she's not too crazy. I mean, you'd rather have the Trunda, wouldn't you? But she's fine. Solus, again, he's a sort of a good Hydra damage dealer with provokes. He's fine. He was, you know, provoker that's bringing utility and good damage. Senna is interesting. Senna has some potential for the future, I think. I think the main thing, I talked about it in, or maybe I'm going to talk about it in a video in a couple of days. The main thing with Senna that I think has potential is on Hard Fire Night, that you basically put her in like Stone Skin or maybe Stalwart gear or something, have her really tanky with a squishy team, have everyone die to the first hit, maybe it would reflect damage on, I don't know. They die to the first hit, then she revives them with half turn meter and they all get to do an ally attack. And then you could have her pretty quick and she could come in again with, you know, increased speed and turn meter fill, and she can boost their turn meter more. And, you know, with the new Nourish Blessing, she can restore her destroyed HP and keep surviving the Fire Knight. And you could have like a very auto-friendly. So I'm imagining like stage 20 of Hard Fire Knight, whenever that comes out eventually. She'd be kind of a fun option, right? Speed in all battles aura, sustaining herself, keeping your team going, the ally attack. It's very difficult to make use of this. You know, Sand Devil, maybe there's some potential there after the nerf as well. You know, he kills everybody. She revives them with a Nourish thing, restores their destroyed HP with continuous heals. The only problem is the ally attack would just sort of wake him up again. That's the problem there. But maybe, because this sleep counter is now bigger, maybe there's more potential there. You could do something with maybe a Riho team. I don't know for sure. Like, Newt wouldn't work because Newt has the triple hit. I mean, he would, but you couldn't run multiple Newts. There's some potential. So I think she's got interesting potential for the future, but it's more of a gamble. I'm not super sold on any of these. Honestly, I'd probably rather be saving my voids up for future events. Yeah, but I probably, Warlord would probably be the one. Like, if I didn't have a lockout and I'm super close to Mercy, I might pull a few for Warlord, but I probably wouldn't go crazy. Trunda is definitely the big one. So there you go, guys. They are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you think about it. Because, like, I think especially, even if you're a spender right now, I think that, honestly, probably just buying Primal Shards is the better way to spend money rather than Voids. Like, buying Voids used to be a good way to crack an out in the game. I think nowadays, though, I think buying Primals is worth more. Or just try to really save as many voids for the really good events as possible is probably the better way, even if you're spending hundreds of dollars on this game. It's probably better to be quite conservative with your voids. I don't know. Let me know what you think. And let me know what you think about the Hydra changes. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye.